Welcome to the eCommerce Badassery podcast, the place for scrappy female entrepreneurs who want to learn actionable steps and strategies to grow the traffic, sales, and profit in your e-commerce business. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster, a 20-year retail veteran who spent 3 years as the only employee of a 7-figure online store. That shit was crazy. I know exactly how it feels to do all the things, and I'm sharing everything I learned the hard way so you don't have to. I may have started this business by accident, but supporting badass bosses like you lights me the fuck up, and I am so stoked to see you grow. Are you ready, babe? Let's roll. Welcome back to the eCommerce Badassery podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster. It's officially Q4, friends, which means if you haven't already gotten your ass in gear to set yourself up for success this holiday season, now is the time. I've got a ton of episodes to support you with this, and I've curated them all into one place on my website for you. I'll stick a link in the show notes for you to easily access that. And if you want more in-depth support, check out the Badass Holiday Planning Guide and Holiday Content Bundle. They've both been updated for the 2022 season, and they've been quite the hit. One of the things we talk about in the Holiday Planning Guide is to dress up your website for the holiday season and help people get in the mood. Just like retail stores start playing Christmas music, please don't put music on your website, and dress up their windows, we want to do the same for our websites. But even more important than that is to make sure that your homepage helps the customer get where they're trying to go in as few clicks as possible. And while I'm positioning this episode around the holiday season, most of what we're going to discuss is applicable all year round. And of course, like in most cases, there are going to be a few nuances depending on how wide your product assortment is and the overall structure of your business. I'm going to speak mostly to those who have a lot of different products and categories, but I'll do my best to point out what might be different for different types of businesses. All right, let's just start at the top with your navigation menu. One of the most common mistakes I see is that your products are buried under a shop tab. Now, if you only have a handful of product categories or you have an informational side to your business, that might be okay. But in most cases, you want your top level categories all as their own links in your navigation bar. If you're a jewelry store, that would be things like earrings, necklaces, and bracelets. If you're an apparel store, maybe that's tops, dresses, and denim. If you're home decor, that could be kitchen and dining, bed and bath, and decor. Now, these are all very simplified examples, and how many categories you have are going to be a big influence on how you ultimately lay this out. But when you're thinking about this, I want you to put yourself in the shoes of your customer and ask yourself, how does my customer shop? When they land on my website, what are the things they are most likely looking for? I just had a conversation with a client about this. She has a huge assortment of products, literally everything from apparel to furniture. It's all for a specific style of customer, so it makes sense, but it's a lot of product categories. So as we were talking through this, we were looking at it from 3 different angles. What makes logical sense? How does the customer shop? And what drives the business as a whole? For instance, if you were to go look at Revolve's navigation menu right now, in addition to their clothing menu, they have a separate dresses menu. There's a pretty good chance this is not by accident. They pulled out dresses to give it more attention. They've also got shoes and accessories separated as their own menus. Urban Outfitters, on the other hand, starts with gender, and then shoes and accessories are under each of those categories. Another client I worked with recently has a high customer return rate because she sells a consumable hobby product. For her, having the new and popular menu is really important because her customer is coming back looking for new stuff. And this may also be the case for most clothing boutique stores. But what if you're somewhere in the middle and sell candles, for instance? Maybe you have a handful of signature scents and then you have some seasonal specific things that you sell. In that case, it's probably okay that it's all under a shop button. As long as your site conversion is high, then it's probably nothing to worry about. The only thing I would say is maybe you want to link directly to those seasonal scents as well. Which brings me to this next note of using your navigation bar to promote things that you want to bring attention to during any given season in your business. If you have a holiday gift guide, put that baby in the navigation. Maybe you hold community events periodically in your business. Promote those in your navigation. If you sell a product that naturally lends itself to community and you have a Facebook group, go ahead and include that as well. Do you have a lot of educational blog posts related to the product that you sell? You can include links to that too. At my previous day job, we focused a lot on educational content marketing. So in our navigation menu, we would feature 2 to 3 of the top posts that made sense with that category of product. Or maybe you sell CBD and you have one epic blog post that talks them through how to choose the right dosage and such for themselves. Include that in your navigation bar. But don't waste space with things like your About page. That only needs to live in the footer. Or if you have a rewards program that shows a floating widget, you don't need that in there either. Remember, you are a product-based business and your goal is to sell products. I also want to talk about mega menus real quick. There have been some rumblings over the years about whether or not mega menus are a good thing. And people wonder, should I break down my subcategories on the mega menu or should I dump the customer in a top-level collection page and let them weed their way through the products I have? Now, of course, this depends on how many items you have, but based on my experience, mega menus are actually better. I worked with a client who had a wide assortment of product, and we set up both mega menus and collection landing pages. A collection landing page just means when they go to the top level category, instead of going directly into a collection with tons of product listings, they went into a page that listed out all the sub collections. This was a big change in how her site was merchandised, so it was a bit scary even for me, but we wanted to test it out and see the results. Ultimately, after our test, and I honestly don't remember how long we let it go for, somewhere between 30 and 90 days, we saw an overall increase in conversion, and products that hadn't really been selling before were selling now. Most likely because people actually knew they existed. Now, what if you only have 5 to 10 products in your top level collections? Then you don't need sub collections like that. And you, of course, don't need them if you only have a handful of products altogether. I could probably dedicate an entire podcast episode just to your navigation alone, but for now, let's just make sure your customers can find what they're looking for. Next up is your hero image, and this is arguably the most important part because it's the first thing someone is going to see when they land on your website. So there are a few things to keep in mind. First, does it clearly show what you sell and who you sell it to? And is it obvious what they're going to find when they click the call to action button? Let's talk about some best practices. In most cases, the image that you show is a lifestyle product image, which is your product in use. You want to start inspiring your customer right off the bat and help them picture what it would be like to have this product in their life. You'll also want to make sure this image isn't too tall. If you can keep it short enough that they can easily recognize that there is more to see below the image, great. Otherwise, at a minimum, make sure the call to action button is above the fold. And above the fold just means they don't have to scroll to see it. Whether you do or don't use a slider is up to you. Jury is still out on whether or not one is better or worse for conversion, but if you are going to use a slider to promote multiple things, limit it to 2 or 3 and don't go overboard. So for holiday, maybe it's your overall bestsellers, your holiday gift guides, and a new product you have for the holiday season. If you have a few standout products that drive the majority of your business, don't be afraid to feature just that product up there too. But then what happens during your holiday sales? Do you update the hero image to reflect that? Yes, you do. In fact, you want to promote that in multiple places because I'll tell you, customers do not pay attention. Even when I was working for my previous company and we had our Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals plastered all over the website, homepage banner, hello bar, banners inside of our collections. and customers would still check out without using the discount code. From a business perspective, that's not the worst thing, of course, especially because we always did blanket discounts because our number one goal was top line revenue. But if you're trying to promote a specific product or collection or trying to move through a specific holiday product, you've got to make sure you are shouting these offers from the rooftops. Now, depending on when you run your sales, this can get a little tricky to make live and then hide when the sale is over. But there's an app for that, Design Packs. It's an app that has pre-built sections you can add to your Shopify store, one of which is a timed banner. So you can set when you want it to go live and when you want it to come down. I use this all the time in my day job because we regularly had the sales expire at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, but I certainly wasn't going to be switching those elements manually. You can find this app in the Shopify App Store, or if you want to support the eCommerce Badassery podcast, I'll put my partner link in the show notes. I'd be so grateful. And then one more note about this. If you do have a big sale happening and you're updating that hero image to promote it, you don't have to worry about this being too product focused. You want to make sure it's really clear what your offer is. After the hero image, then we want to get even more product focused. Typically for larger inventories, I'll go to collections and then into products. When it comes to the collections you feature on your homepage, we're not talking every collection that you offer. What are the top 3 to 6 collections people come to you for? If you don't already know, it's time to dig into the numbers and find out. What categories drive the majority of your business? Remember, our goal is to get them where they're trying to go as quickly as possible. And as we've discussed on this podcast before, specifically on episode 71, The Anatomy of a Product page with Reese Spikerman, too many choices can actually paralyze and overwhelm your customer. You've heard of the jam study, right? At an in-person market, they set up a table to sell jam. One day they had lots of flavor options, and the other day they only had a handful. On the day with more choices, they had more people at the table interested in what they had to offer. But on the day they had fewer choices, they made more sales. After your featured collections, you can start showing some more product listings. Pretty much every theme comes with a featured collection section where you assign a specific collection and it will populate a few products from that collection, giving the customer the option to click through to see all the products. Now again, what you show and the specific order you put it in is going to depend on your business and your product assortment. But the general concept is the same. When it comes to your homepage, you want to show the best of the best. The goal of your homepage is to get them to keep shopping. Just like the store window of a brick and mortar shop is to get them to walk inside. Then you use your navigation bar and your cross sells to show them the hidden gems, just as your salesperson would in a store. And some other thoughts about your homepage. If you have a specific holiday bundle or a singular product that is your absolute best seller, don't be afraid to dedicate a section specifically to that product. You can also include any educational content you have through blog posts, though in most cases I would leave those toward the bottom near the footer, aside from those potential feature posts we discussed earlier. And then what if you're a one product store or a subscription box? If you don't really have any other products to sell, make your entire homepage a landing page. You feature the product as the hero, walk through the features and benefits, answer frequently asked questions, and show some reviews. Include multiple calls to action so they can start the purchase process and call it a day. Speaking of reviews, I almost forgot to talk about this, but you absolutely can and should feature some reviews on your homepage. Most review platforms will provide a widget that you can either embed on the homepage so it will populate reviews, or will provide a widget that a customer can click on to read them. And remember that your homepage isn't set it and forget it forever. You'll want to update it, likely seasonally, to make sure that it's supporting the goals you have for your business at that time. Most of those changes are likely to be the hero image, but could be other areas of the homepage as well, depending upon what you sell. So let's do a quick recap of what we talked about today and how you'll want to optimize your homepage for the holiday season. Number 1, remember that this is not just for the holiday season. 2, you want your navigation bar to be intentional, helping your customers find what they're looking for and promoting what's most important to your business. 3, make sure your hero image is product focused. The call to action is above the fold, and keep the whole image on the shorter side so your customer knows they can scroll. 4, feature your best-selling collections to make it easy for customers to click through, and even some product carousels of those collections so the customer can see some actual product. When in doubt, think of your homepage as your store window and your navigation and cross-sells as your salespeople. If you want to dive deeper into getting your website and your entire marketing strategy holiday ready, make sure you check out the Badass Holiday Planning Guide. And if you want a timed banner section for your homepage, check out the Design Packs app for Shopify. You can support the eCommerce Badassery podcast by using my partner affiliate link in the show notes. And that, my friend, is a wrap. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and I'll see you on the flip side. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you like what you heard, I'd be so grateful if you'd leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're looking to surround yourself with more product entrepreneurs who totally get your life right now, get your booty on over to the eCommerce Badassery Facebook group. Can't wait to see you there. Until next time, e-commerce friends, stay badass.